Attention, people of the internet. This scenario is not final and is subject to change by June 17th. Hey, what is up guys, Shadow Steel here, and welcome back to Railworks. Mulligan! Whew. Hey, what is up guys, Shadow Steel here, and welcome back to another episode of Railworks Sundays. So... mustache is all wet. Okay. So, yeah, this is episode 12, officially, of Railworks Sundays, because last episode was episode 11, but originally in the listing was episode 12. It's just a whole confusing mess of things that whatnot. And yeah, we are going to be doing something special for episode 12, the Racetrack Rocket. In fact, this episode is very special in that it's also going to be the return of the screenshot of the week. Now, if you remember, when I first introduced the screenshot of the week, it was actually on season 2, or during an episode featuring the Racetrack Rocket. So, ironically, the return of the screenshot of the week has been on both these episodes, both Racetrack Rocket versions. And hopefully this game won't crash on me again. And dear God, I was surprised when that crashed. I was very surprised, because the game crashed on me heavily. I guess I had too many things working for me, Chief. Just as a safety precaution, I'm gonna exit out of a few things here. But I know for a fact that these guys have caused crashes before, just using so many crappy items on here. What the? I thought I quit and got out of you. There you go. Ah, what are you doing? There we go. Jesus Christ. So, yeah, this was a whole confusing mess last time. Or rather, when I was getting ready to do this. Now, originally this was going to be a showcase for the new Caltrain, for a Caltrain route upgrade by Max Laverne. However, he's told me now to wait just a tad, just a little bit, so another little asset thing, a sound pack, I guess you could say, for the F40PH is released. And I've seen videos of this. It sounds awesome. It sounds great. New horn, new bell, that kind of stuff. These guys are going all out for this thing. And I said, like, well, I'm willing to wait. And he said, sure, wait. Now, this is the Racetrack Rocket Part 2. But there's a significant difference between this Racetrack Rocket and the one that's going to be submitted on the workshop. The one that's going to be submitted on the workshop is going to be more tied towards the original Racetrack Rocket Part 1 that was originally released on the workshop. I don't think there was a US only version, but if there is, I'm probably going to remove it later. Just as a sort of friendly gesture to point out some more consistency between the two versions. The fuck? Oh, hello. Whew. Hey. What the? Oh, it's such a weird locomotive. Ooh. So many items. No. That looks okay. Boop. It's always a bad sign when your game takes 5 minutes to load again. Something's not right here. I have no idea what's going on. Ow. What the fuck is that? Okay, buddy. Oh, hey! Would you look at that? The game finally loaded on me. Woo! Nice. Alright, this time I'm going to talk throughout the entire thing. Good morning, engineer. We've got a busy day ahead of us. Let's get our train moving and head over to the platform. And as we get everything ready to go, fire and coal. As you can see in the background there, I got a metro train sitting in the yard there. I think that's actually in the same position as it was last time. Whoops. Increase the regulator to about 70 and open up the throttle. Now, one thing to note. The bell and the whistle are actually modded. And there is, if you listen closely, the sounds of the chuffing are very different as well. And also, I've been using the Mars Light version of the 760 of the Berkshire only because currently 765 has been using her Mars Light for the first for a few years. So I decided, whoops. So I've been using the Mars Light on this locomotive. Now, behind the locomotive you have a tank car. Now, somebody asked me about this in another video that I submitted on Facebook only, and he asked, what is the tank car for? This is supposed to be a replacement for an auxiliary tender that so far has not, that doesn't have 765. Oh, we might want to double check something here. One thing I would like to note is that when you start getting around this super elevation curve, the locomotive tends to bounce. I have no idea why. I'll show you another clip later of that happening. So the tank car is the auxiliary tender. This boxcar, which is from the Sacramento Northern route, which is from Sacramento Northern, you can see it just right there. It's a maintenance way car. It's meant to be the tool car. Behind that, we have cars from G-Track Simulation, the repaint versions of each car. Whoa, what the fuck? How did I get to 5? Okay. I'm going to try and get this down to... What the fuck? Jesus. And then over here we have repainted versions from JT Designs of the Iowa Pacific cars. Whoops. I've got repaints of those. Over here, and there's the Union Pacific, JT Designs, then the standard California Zephyr, and finally some cars I've created myself. These cars I actually repainted myself, and they're actually rather impressive. And at the tail end, we got a helper. We got a Amtrak P32 at the tail end of the train. So, I'm gonna open up the throttle just a tad. So the audio you're hearing of the chuffing is modded, so we do have some modded chuffing. And we kind of need to open up our throttle way more than we have, way more now, because we're running behind schedule now. If we're supposed to be arriving at 20, we might not be arriving there on time. But I'm speeding. I don't really mind too much right now. Alright. We've been told that our train won't fit on the platform and have been directed to Western Avenue Station. This is where things actually get kind of interesting. Just ahead of us, we're going to see quite a bit of action outside of Western Avenue. And I was actually rather surprised by what I did by complete and total accident. Looks like we're going to be running behind schedule, so I need to open up the throttle real high. Running a few minutes late, so... I'm also going to start throwing coal in the fire to get her fired up. So there's our station there, Western Avenue. And over there, just in the distance... Oh, my mouse cursor's not showing up. Whoops. There, hold on. There we go, capture mouse cursor, thank you very much. There we go. So over here you got a intermodal train leaving the yard here at the Union Pacific Global Yard. I'm going to lower the regulator just a bit because we're reaching 60 miles an hour. We're finally on schedule now. We've got an auto rack train sitting over here, ready to go. Turn off the regulator. I'm going to sound the bell again. Enough coal in the fire. All the auto rack cars are repaints, by the way. Or not repaints, are completely different designs, I guess you could say. I don't know if they're repaints or not, but hey. Got the Union Pacific train over there in the distance. Trying to slow our girl down before we reach the station here, because we're now slightly on time, slightly ahead of schedule. We got Burlington Northern Santa Fe train over there with a Union Pacific helper, the Union Pacific train in the distance. We'll start applying brakes again. So we're kind of hitting this fast. So what I try and do every time is actually get the Amtrak train clear the signal that we're approaching. That way she's kind of almost directly behind the signal. But at times I can't really do that very easily. I'm going to release the brakes again. What I'm going to do is going to get her kind of close to the bridge this time around. It looks like we'll be able to kind of keep things even there. Okay, here we go. Got applying. So our Amtrak train's not going to be past the signal, but it's going to be worth it. Alright. So over there you see the auto rack train waiting to leave the yard. And coming down this line is going to be the Union Pacific train over there. Now note, you might notice that she's not actually a standard repaint. Or not your typical repaint, that is. We'll get a better look at her once she gets closer. The train itself is rather interesting too, because I do plan on doing some repaints for the G-Trax cars as well, but for now I don't really have any way to do that. Also, I noticed that the Mars light is going right now, so he should be getting ready to move, so we'll see his headlight turn on soon. I think he leaves at 21. So let's see here. There we go, 21. He's leaving the yard now. Like I said in the beginning of the video, none of this is final, and is subject to change heavily once the scenario is kind of finalized by June. So here he is. And I think off in the distance you can finally start to see the Union Pacific rolling down the line here. And down there, you can see the headlight of another train coming down the line. So we have 3 different trains rolling down the same line here. There he is. Now, I've already made a video showcasing this hot spot, I guess you could say. But I haven't really talked about how this ended up happening. It happened completely by accident. I never intended all 3 trains to schedule each other passing at the exact same moment. I never intended the BNSF, Union Pacific, and eventually the Metra down here to pass all at the same time. Another thing is that because this is a Railworks quote-unquote America version, the locomotive you're seeing here, well, It's a famous Union Pacific locomotive by now, number 1943. The sheet passes directly under the BNSF right out here. The NSF rolls by. At this point, you start to see a metro train rolling by. So there's the BNSF. Oh God! There's the metro train rolling in. So we got all three trains rolling on the same track here. I've showed off the video, and I'll probably show it off at the end of the video, kind of show off what's really going on. I hear brakes though, honestly. So all these cars here, these are all repaint cars. The Metro train, by the way, is running off the Metro schedule for June of this year, 2018. However, the excursion is technically set in 2017. And because I lost the original scheduling for the Metro services of 2017, I didn't really put it into place. It's also kind of ironic that the point in time I'm making this video and recording it, Amtrak released a policy change for all their excursions. And it's got people pissed. The rail fan community is not too happy about that. I might want to get ready to leave the station here. We're leaving at 10:25, so. Alright, we're clear. We'll be heading for the Route 59 station today. Be sure to keep an eye on the signals. We are considered to be an extra, after all. Right. So the whistle on the 765 currently is a Frisco Hancock free chime worn by 765 in the past. However, that whistle was used on the fireman's side. However, because this locomotive doesn't actually have a proper fireman's whistle to use, the locomotive never got the locomotive whistle. We've only replaced the original whistle. Alright, here we go. So the auto rack is already slowing down to a crawl, I think. Oh, he's actually stopped because of a third train that's coming by, or fourth train that's coming by, led by a BNSF or BNF45. Kind of did this for shits and giggles, honestly. Yep, flashing yellow for me. Or no, for that track. Okay, I got a green. Alright, lower the reverser just a little bit. Quite the train. Got the quite the traffic on Western Avenue, honestly. So he's moving now. I'm kind of chasing down him. We also need to be extremely careful about how we run this train, because there's a few signals that may indicate that we're actually supposed to stop just ahead. In fact, we got a double yellow just up ahead. Then again, I think the double yellow is to indicate that we're switching over to the middle track here, track 2. The fuck? I just lost my audio. Well, that's weird. I just lost the audio on the 765. Or the chuffing audio. That's very strange. I've never had that happen before. Okay, I'm gonna shut her down. See what's going on here. something cool in the fire while I'm at it. Because we need to slow down to 35 anyway. There goes the safeties. We have a approach coming up. I'm going to go ahead and apply brakes. So he's starting to slow down here too. I got enough coal there. I think 80 to 70 is probably the good mark for me. Got a clear, diverging clear, I think. Whoops, I'm a little too slow there. Okay, there goes the audio. I guess I have to shut her down just temporarily just to get her moving again. We're going to be going down track 2 for most of the way. We'll be crossing over just before Cicero. We're gonna clear. There we go. Now we got a 35 limit as we cross over the switch here. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the water here. I see some shuddering there. Oh my god! This is terrifying. This is actually terrifying from this perspective. Seeing these cars like this. So he should be slowing down to a crawl soon because he's got a red block up ahead. If he doesn't, I got a red block. No, he's got a red block. I got a clear. Okay, there we go. We can actually open up the throttle again. He's slow. He's stopping now for the red block. I've got a clear. Now, other than this train here, we have another train just ahead of us that we actually have to wait for. That's going to be on the same track as us. However, he is supposed to transfer over to, I believe it's, yeah, he's supposed to be on this track here. There's actually 2 other trains we'll be passing officially. There's going to be I believe, an oil tanker train and yeah, there's 2 oil trains coming up that we're going to have to be dealing with. We're going to Cicero now. Yes, Cicero looks barren. So there's one of our trains that we're going to have to deal with later on. Or we're supposed to deal with later on. It's supposed to be ahead of us, but for some strange reason they never get scheduled properly. And so that's good enough. I'm going to start throwing coal in the fire there. Alright, so while we are getting through all this, I'm going to go ahead and show off the last 5 cars to some extent. And I'll talk about them to a greater extent in another video, but these cars here, these cars were designed kind of in regards to a fanfic of mine, much like the Tristan National Railway cars equipment I talked about before, but each of these cars has a history behind them in regards to the actual story and whatnot. And like I said, I'll be talking about them way more in another video. But the cars back there are actually a reference to, like I said, a fanfic of mine. So I got a clear block just up ahead. The Union Pacific locomotive at the front end there. Whoops! We're approaching 60 miles an hour. I know this is quiet zones, but fuck them. I mean, seriously, there's no reason for a quiet zone in this area. The railroads came first, buddy. We should be good here. Besides, who's not going to love a whistle from a steam locomotive? The signal indication here, flashing yellow. Get ready to stop. If you get sick by me doing this, it's just because I'm trying to keep an eye on signal indications. So we got a yellow block up ahead. Passing through, I don't know what it is. I think this is Riverside, I don't know. Oh, I'm way off. There's no crossing up ahead. Might as well start throwing water in there as well. I think the last signal up ahead. Yep, there's a red block, and I see the our other train we're having to deal with just up ahead. Quiet zone again. Fun story about this locomotive up ahead. I actually placed him here, and he's actually this locomotive will be featured in the final version of the Racetrack Rocket, because Lord knows we need to show these sisters out. And I mean sisters. I'll be showing. In fact, I want to get a good screenshot of these two. Like I said, sisters. I'm going to pause. Here, pause it. I learned this little trick not too long ago, but if you press the pause key on your keyboard, you actually pause the entire game. And this is amazing. This works amazingly well when you want to get specific screenshots. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to unpause and then pause. And here's where things get kind of interesting, because I need to get these two locomotives in the same shot to some extent. However, 765 and the way the track layout is set up, it's kind of hard to get them right. There we go. It's a little bit more angle. There we go. There we go. That should be fine. And then from here, we just need to keep an eye on the signal indication just up ahead. So I'm going to pause. And from here, we just need to keep kind of a slow profile here. Okay, it did class, so it did count that, huh? That's good to hear. We need her to stop as soon as possible. I'm gonna have to apply more brakes here. Oh, I'm not even applied. This week's screenshot of the week is provided by Elijah Brown, who has recreated Norfolk Southern train number 220 as it rounds a curve in Alabama. As you can see by the real-life shot compared to the screenshot, both the screenshot and the real-life shot are almost neck and neck with each other in realistic terms. And by using the Searchlight simulation pack for the SD70s, the screenshot looks even better. There we go. Well, there you have it. Should be getting a clear block now. There we go. We are clear. Open her up. There we go. First, so we had quite a few trains by now that have run past the camera, and now we shouldn't have too many problems now with the other trains on the line. These two are BNSF trains here. We have this guy down here that's planned on moving down the line as well. Whoop, right down. As we go once and twos. Just open her up, buddy. I'm very impressed by kind of the amount of traffic I've managed to put in this scenario. Now, the only difference between this and the final version that will be submitted to the workshop is that this version will kind of be used as a template for the workshop version, as only a few assets will probably need to be changed around to allow for use on the workshop compared to its eventual release on the Steam Workshop, or compared to its other release, I guess you could say. So that will be certainly interesting, to say the least. Because passenger cars back here will not need to be changed too much. The only cars that probably will need to be changed... Well, the passenger cars collection will definitely need to be changed, but there's already quite a few collections of cars that I can choose from, thanks to Dovetail releasing most of their cars. And, yeah, it's actually going to be very, very interesting. Did I get that one? Yeah, I did. Okay. So, as you can see here, we have a full-on trip down almost the entire line, about 20 miles from where we originally started. Let's get that down. Yep, we got a crossing. Clear. I'll start shoveling coal in there. Alright, that's enough coal. Alright, we're doing real nice here with 765, gotta say. Now, I chose the Frisco whistle on the 765 because, in all seriousness, I've had such a strong attachment with the Frisco Railroad in regards to the hometown Frisco locomotive 1522 here in St. Louis. But to know that that this excursion, the Joliet Rocket, which is supposed to be happening in September, but has been postponed ticket-wise due to Amtrak policy change in regards to equipment. I was hoping to do a special video on Trackside where I would travel to Chicago myself after getting my own ticket, and as a result, when they announced that they would be postponing ticket sales, I kind of felt disappointing. But I then learned something about the Amtrak's new CEO who enacted the policy. The guy was the CEO of an airline. He has no railroading experience. If he worked in the airline industry, he has no railroading experience, and he has no idea how big rail preservation is compared to airline preservation, because frankly, I don't know very many airline preservation movements. I mean, yes, I'm well aware that there are certain aircraft that have been preserved. The Concorde, or the Concorde, or whatever it is. I call it Concorde. But yeah, some of those first, like the big jet kind of things, they're preserved, but not very few older airlines. I think there was a movement trying to save the 747, which was just retired out of service. Yeah, all the 747s were removed out of service by now. But I don't think there was a specific movement dedicated to save them. What the fuck? Oh, interesting. So that was a missed instruction, huh? I'll need to fix that later. Well, 13 instructions, huh? Whoops. Oh well. So much for that crossing. We're now traveling 60 miles an hour. We're right on schedule here. Whoops. And looks like we're doing quite well. So, crossing the platform now. We now got Fairview as our next waypoint. It's about 2 miles from here. And then after that, we have U, which is 7 miles. Jesus Christ, I didn't see that being that long. But we have U, and then U. So essentially, we've got quite a bit of time left. Alright, let's see if we can make it. Oh. You got a cat. I'm gonna check if everything's been recording properly. Yeah, it's working fine. Oh, we got enough coal there. Jesus fucking Christ. Lower the reverser. We got a yellow block on this track now, which means that our final train that we'll be running past is coming down the line now. Hello. So I mentioned before that the previous Metro train was actually running on Metro's timetable for 2018. Well, lo and behold, the timetable, while this excursion runs, another Metro train is supposed to pass by as well. However, it's so far back on the route that there's not really much in the way for me to actively run 2 Metro commuter trains, and I wanted this to be as realistic as possible, but there's still just not a lot I could do about it. Oh shit! Burped and I threw up in my mouth. You see the headlight in the distance there of the Metro train. Lower the reverser just a tad. The regulator just a tad. The cat's just sitting there, looking like a dork. Going through this waypoint. Alright. We have another one in 6 miles. There's our Metro train, which by the way seems to be loading up with passengers. Wait. Is he loading or is he waiting? Ah, interesting. What? Blasting your whistle just seems so satisfying on this route. Because you got so many crossings to deal with, just blasting a steam whistle on this route just makes it so satisfying. I honestly enjoy doing it. I know it's technically against rail regulations on quiet zones, but hey, I don't care. I'll blow my whistle all I want. So we're getting enough speed. We're getting enough here. I'm running her fast. Okay, there she goes. Oh, that's interesting. Alright. Almost? Oh, 3.75. 3 3/4 of a mile to go to the next waypoint. So that's the crossover point there. And we have 2 more instructions after that. We got him, and we got him. 5 miles from each other, huh? Okay. Oh yeah, that train was well underway already, so that's nice. Also, fun thing to note, almost all the trains have proper classification names. So both the Metro trains are actually numbered as part of the official Metro timetable. However, their actual timetables are very close, if not to the exact timing of the actual Metro schedule, with a few alterations to make room for the freight traffic. All the freight trains have either the Union Pacific train has the Union Pacific classification symbols, and the BNSF trains have all the BNSF symbols on her. So there's not much worry for that. Now the only other thing I would like to point out, and I want to double check the signal up ahead. Okay, I got a clear up ahead. The only other thing I want to properly point out is that if you look on the map, our train is classified as Extra 957. Now, it turns out the extra trains are always given 3 different numbers to choose from, 957 being one of them. The reason I chose 957 for Nickel Plate Road 765 is actually because 957 just so happens to be the number of the classification number given to Norfolk and Western 611's first excursion out of the North Carolina Transportation Museum to Roanoke in 2015. It was classified as Extra 957. Now I'm not sure exactly what that means, to say the least, but If I'm remembering correctly, there is a reason for that number being in the classification like that. Alright, we're approaching 66 miles an hour. That's impressive. Now, I've never gotten the 765, even with this current physics pack I'm using, which, by the way, I'm using a physics pack for her, because this locomotive is impossible to drive without it. The thing leaks like a sieve. But, not surprisingly, I've never gotten her to 70 miles. Oh dear God, we're going at 66 miles per hour, 66.6 miles an hour just there. Look at the devil. That'd be interesting. But yeah, I've never gotten the 765 to go 70 miles an hour on this route. But then again, that's only because she is not really that capable of running at that speed, at least in this rendition. Now, I probably have the ability. Now, if I fire her correctly, I have no idea if I'm firing her correctly or not, to run at 70 miles an hour. But like I said, I just have never managed to do it. Alright, we got 0.5 a mile, or 0.25 miles, whatever. We got a few miles to go. 0.1. The signal indication up ahead. Whoop. We'll be crossing over at Naperville. Make sure you start slowing down for the junction. Alright. And it's a good thing I marked that there, because we have about 2 miles to get to that junction. Okay, I have a clear. The guy on track 1 has an approach. Here. I can just mark over to the other platform. Let's put self-lap. If I remember right. Yeah, there he is, Naperville. There we go. I can go ahead and just release the brakes now. I can go ahead and start applying water. Now, one thing I want to note while we approach the station here, these last 5 cars, like I mentioned, these were repaints I did. These will be actually replaced by the actual Denver Rio Grande cars that I use, the Denver Rio Grande cars from the Zephyr. And the reason being is that I still want to maintain these last 5 cars at the same thing per scenario. The only other these cars will be removed. The rest of the cars, except for this one's actually Amtrak, a repainted Amtrak version. So I'll replace that with something else. And every other car is going to be replaced. The only other cars that won't be replaced will be the tool car, quote unquote, which is the box car, the tank car, and the locomotive itself. So she'll be pretty much the same all throughout. So there's going to be minor changes to this contest, but as a whole, like I said, it's not too much I need to worry about. I was like, oh good God. I'm bouncing my knee, I always bounce the frickin' camera, I swear. Whoops, a little too fast there. Now, I do want to mention to any of you that are interested in this, I could submit a version of this to Railworkds America or wherever I can get a whole actual scenario submission for stuff like this, where it's all 90% repaints. I mean, seriously, this is almost all of this was repainted when I made this, and some of it you would have to be getting my content too, so that's interesting. But yeah, if you guys want this, feel free to leave a comment down below. I honestly am interested in seeing what you guys have to say about the repainted versions of the scenario. It does make it more realistic, to say the least, but it also means that a ton of more there's a lot more content on this version that you need compared to a version, say, that would essentially only need a handful of assets. Because all the BNSF content would be removed. There would be no BNSF content, which is probably about 90% of this list currently. 90% of this version. And the only other significant thing would be just replacing certain locomotives with Union Pacific locomotives because that's all I could use on this route. That would be more mainline oriented. So we're way ahead of schedule for the next stop. It's 7 minutes and we're arriving at 11 o'clock almost even. Got a clear block up ahead. Somebody else got a clear block on another track. They've got a red block on track 2. We have 3.2 miles to go to our next destination. We're going to run it hard and run it fast. Let's see what this baby can do. Ow. Signal indication up ahead. We have 2.7 miles to go. It's already been 50 minutes worth of recording footage, so not bad, honestly. I'm going to lower the regulator just a tad so I can get some more boiler pressure back up. But we won't lose a lot of steam, a lot of speed with this, so that's good. What is the signal indication up ahead? There's a clear block ahead for all 3 tracks, which means I think the other train is just behind us, have already crossed over to track 2. Some of which, anyway. We have 2.1 miles to go for our destination. Go, passing that crossing safely. There's our station just up ahead. Let's see if I can get her just high enough. Let's see if we can approach it at 55 miles an hour. There we go. Alright, I'm going to shut her down. Start sounding the bell. Start opening up the cylinder cocks. Start shoveling coal in the fire. Start applying brakes. You just need minimal. I mean a lot. Alright, that's enough. Going to a clear block. Got enough coal in the fire there. We're still ahead of schedule by about 7 minutes, so I may need to do something to kind of push the 765 to be late, to kind of fall behind schedule, be on time to some extent. I'll start applying brakes again. There they go again. We're at 25 miles an hour. We can release the brakes again. This is where things get tricky. The last set of cars on the I want to get this train away from the bridge again, much like I did with the other station. I kind of want to get the train away from that last signal on Western Avenue, that just before the station, so it's clear of that signal. However, this station has a bridge just before it, I want to get that bridge, want to clear that bridge before we stop the train entirely. I'll start applying brakes again. Alright. Alright, we're good there. Last car of the train is situated. There we go. Alright, open up. I'm going to go ahead and start putting water in the boiler there. And while we're here, I want to give you some good close-up details of these last 5 cars that I've repainted. We got the lettering ZOZ. The cars are each named specifically Kyon, Mikuru, I can't pronounce her name ever, half the time, Haruhi, that car, Koizumi, and Yuki. All cars, again, have the lettering ZOZ on the corners, identifying them. And I will give you guys a little bit of a quiz. If you guys can figure out the reference that ZOZ is, as well as how they're tied with each of these names, well, I got to admit, that would be quite impressive, because not even a close friend of mine knew about the reference. And he was a big fan of the anime. Alright. Nice work! Though it looks like the weather's starting to take a turn, make sure you prepare for the journey back to Union Station. It might be a wet one. So, there you have it. That is the Racetrack Rocket Part 2. Like I said, this is not final. We're still doing a lot of work on this scenario. I'm still doing a lot of work on the scenario to finish up details, especially considering that this version will not be submitted to the workshop. This was a showcase essentially, and I will be submitting a full workshop version. I'm moving my hands around, but you guys can't see it because I'm doing it off camera. I'll be submitting a full workshop version on the weekend of Father's Day, specifically on Sunday, June, I want to say 16th, because I think that's the day. It's either 16th or 17th. Hold on. Oh yeah, it is 17th. June 17th is when the workshop version will be submitted, and by then we should have everything ready to go. Big shout out to the screenshot of the week, which was right smack dab in the middle of the episode, like I mentioned before. That's coming back. If you guys have a screenshot you guys want to submit, you guys want me to show off, go ahead and send it to the email on screen. It's Railworks screenshot at gmail.com, I believe. I'm not sure if it's on screen. It's on screen. Go ahead and submit your screenshots there. And other than that, feel free to contact me via that email or through the Facebook page if you have any questions about like the repaints or when this scenario is going to be coming out. Like more details of it are coming out soon. So like and comment down below, guys. Subscribe if you guys want more. And I will see you guys in the very next episode. Take care, everyone.